here, making sure that everything's all good on stream, but we're pretty close to starting this race. We'll give some random fast facts about the two runners. JHobz, of course, is a pure controller runner. Not too many of these in the tournament, actually, but he is playing on a DualShock 4 controller, so he's actually got one interesting thing that I don't think too many runners have, which is the touchpad on the DS4. He's got set up so that he can do menuing, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. It's very similar to another one of our 16, who is absolutely one of our top runners. She also uses DualShock and has a few remaps, including the touchpad like that. I wonder if they both independently came up with that, or if they colluded on coming up with their key bindings. That'd be interesting to ask them about.
I want to say that I saw when Hobbs suggested it to Lucidus, and then she opted to go along with it. But yeah, they do both use DS4 controllers, which I think is also somewhat uncommon. Of course, Chicken is a KBM player, as are the vast majority of new runners. He actually told us that his original goal in this game was to get a sub 40 time. He's gotten that. He is well past that now. So
yeah, he got that in spades and very quickly. Putting up a 38 when he learned after AGDQ is unreal.
Yeah, that's only a span of about a month, and he's done very well for himself in that time. So, you know, it's really a testament to what you can achieve if you just put in the time and effort. Especially, you know, for someone who this is their first speedrun game.
Oh, completely. I mean, the level of talent among this new wave of runners that we've picked up is very, very inspiring. You've got people like Chicken Supreme, you've got Stafu, you've got Raziel, you've got Lucidus, all very quickly coming in and putting up amazing times. And myself is a little bit older of a runner, not as old as yourself, but you know, I got a decent time and then kind of sat on my laurels and was like, oh, I've got a good time, I don't need to practice. And then these guys came along and smashed my time, and very much inspired me I need to get back on the grind. And you know, these guys like Chicken Supreme are showing us that it doesn't matter how long you've been running, what matters is how much work you've put in.
Indeed. So it looks like the SRL race has begun, so we should be seeing that on stream pretty shortly, and we'll get going with this race. And there you see Hobbs does take off, and Chicken should be a few seconds behind. We'll have to, of course, wait for Fiesel to sync them up, and we'll be going here. You know, something that I've not seen enough of in this tournament so far is people using the color code at the beginning of their runs. I'm kind of disappointed by that, Reese, aren't you?
I definitely am. You know, I actually regret deeply that I didn't use any in my first one either. I was a little nervous going to think of it, but I can definitely assure you going forward, I will absolutely be using that.
That's good. We got to spread the gospel of the color code here.
Completely agreed.
For those who don't know, there's a... Yeah, no, go ahead, Reese. You have relevant commentary.
Oh, well, it's not that relevant. I was going to ask you, what is your least favorite split in this game, and why is it Glades?
You know, actually, I've grown to like Sunken Glades a little bit more as we've gone along. Sunken Glades, of course, encompasses kind of the first 3 segments to some extent. Wall jump is kind of the biggest part of it, and that's what these guys are going to be working on at the moment. But you know, Sunken Glades is very challenging because there's a lot of little things that are very easy to have go wrong. You know, particularly little things like trying to dodge the projectile from an enemy and just having it hit you and knock you back, and you accidentally pick up their XP. And so now not only is your damage not where your HP count, that is, not where you expected it to be, but also your XP is off, and you lost some time because you got knocked back, and so you have to run that distance again. And, you know, it's very easy for those little things to just kind of add up and tick you off a little bit. But it's also, you know, it's not too hard to get pretty consistent times on this segment, even if those little things happen. You can get within the same, like, 3 or 4 seconds if you're pretty good and if you practice a lot.
I completely agree with you. I almost like to think of this speedrun as being 2 games in one. There's the game until you get to Bash, and there's the game after you get to Bash, and they're very different because Bash gives you the ability to slam yourself into enemies and come out not only safe, but that's actually going to make you faster. Whereas early, we can't do that. So early game is all about maximizing your avoidance and dodging with just basic movement. And then once you get Bash, it changes up, and now it's about how can we maximize our movement with execution. So early on, you tend to see a lot of players get frustrated because they want to play that bash heavy style. That's why they got into this game. But you have to have both sides. You have to have a good early game, and you need to be able to display these basic platforming fundamentals that the early game demands.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely easy to forget that while you have those hard parts later on in Misty Woods that involve such complex movement, at the beginning of the game it's just a regular platformer, and you just have to be good at this because this is part of the game. Both runners coming down to the first keystone now. They've gotten their 4 HP. Both runners will be going 4-4, which means we won't be seeing them take any more health cells. They're both on pretty good, basically matching pace. Looks like they haven't had too many problems in terms of XP management or HP management. Ghost Doors went smoothly for both of them. So everything going pretty much according to the book for now. This is probably one of the segments that people are able to get close to top times soonest. A lot of people will not necessarily practice to be able to get all the way down to like the 320 range with 4 HP, but they will be getting consistent 327 or 330.
Unless they're Trojan, of course.
Unless they're Trojan, of course. So both runners pick up wall jump. We will be seeing them take the energy cell, of course, and make their way out towards Blackroot Burrows. So far, good race. Chicken Supreme with a couple seconds worth of deficit, but definitely nothing insurmountable. Hobbs is going to be counting on... go ahead.
I was just going to say I find wall jump to be a little emblematic in general. It seems straightforward. It seems pretty basic. You'd think, how much can there really be to do with that? It's just jumping off of walls. But amazingly, wall jump is potentially the hardest skill in this game to utilize at an optimal level. Not only because each different wall surface has slight variations on it, which if you want to jump off them just right, you need to know them and when do I time all of my jumps off them just right. But there is some techniques called ninja jumping, which involves going to neutral inputs and jumping back towards the wall again. It's extremely fast, extremely tight timing, but it gets you just that little bit of edge on your wall jumping. I don't think we'll be seeing either of these runners do any ninja jumps.
You may see some from Hobbs. I know that he's been working that a little bit, but probably not a whole lot. It's definitely a good point about wall jump that, even just jumping off a wall normally while holding towards it as quickly as possible, even that is finicky. The timing between getting the optimal wall jump versus accidentally sliding a few pixels down the wall is just very tight. So you see Hobbs skip his cutscene to get into BRB. Chicken is currently doing the same. Chicken took a few seconds time loss there as he had a slightly different way of dealing with the slimes in the elbow, but he's still right there with Hobbs right now, and they're entering, of course, the area that can very easily be an equalizer at this moment.
Yeah, this is an incredibly close race. Chicken Supreme absolutely showing us that he does not care that he's only been running up with a like Hobbs, and he's only a few steps behind. Oh, and he's ahead now. Hobbs just took a very unfortunate death.
That is a very tough death to take, and really any death that early on in BRB is sending you all the way back to the cutscene skip, so you are taking at least a 20-second time loss. Definitely watch for Chicken. He's going to take those platforms a little bit safer. He's just going to make sure that he is not going to have anything befall him there. And the unfortunate thing about dying there for Hobbs is you customarily take a safety save right after getting back across the spike pit. So all he needed to do was just stay alive a couple more seconds, and then he was going to be good.
That's always a heartbreaker. Now, if I know anything about Hobbs, he's been running for a long time. He's not going to let this shake him. He's just going to get back on his run and do what he's been training to do. Yeah,
and he is definitely, he appears to have shaken it off. He's not really having, he hasn't gotten caught in an infinite yet, so that's good. You definitely don't want to see the kind of the panic reflexes kick in as Chicken is coming up to his cycle nip. And he opted for a slightly docile one, I think. It's hard to tell sometimes as when you're watching on another stream, you can't always see the platforms in the dark. Let's see how that goes for him. Oh, that was actually fairly aggressive, and he pulled it off pretty well, so good for Chicken, saving a little bit of time there, helping him out a little bit.
Is this both players' first match in the tournament, or have they played any previously?
So Chicken has played his match against the group leader, QQ Stafu, and he did drop that match. Chicken, of course, is the 4th seed in his group, and JHobz is the second, Stafu being the first. So Chicken already has a match under his belt, and certainly that's probably going to help his confidence a little bit. And JHobz, of course, is a veteran of all sorts of, speedrun events, tournaments. He's done runs at live marathons like RPG Limit Break. So he probably, he's probably feeling the nerves, but he has a good sense of how to deal with them.
There was a big conversation on Discord after the first big round of tournament matches. Some of the players were asking, how do you shake nerves? And all the most experienced runners pretty much had the same answer, which is that you don't. It doesn't matter how many tournament matches you do. You're probably still going to get some at the start. And what you need to do is to just realize you're human. You can't shake those. You need to embrace them. Try to, make yourself feel like a little bit excited instead of just nervous. And just try to put on the best performance you can.
So Hobbs, meanwhile, has caught up pretty well to Chicken. He's only about 10 seconds behind right now, so I think his Black Root Burrows was just a little bit better. But Chicken's making his way up to the Frankie Walk, and he's going to begin that process. Neither of these runners will be expecting to do the fast Frankie Walk. That would be a real shocker if either of them started doing that.
Seeing anybody except for Hetfield and maybe Hydra doing fast Frankie Walk would always be a surprise, I think.
Indeed. So they're going to take the nice, normal March the Frankie all the way across the front of Sunken Glades and get to the door. No problems for Chicken there, getting the Frankie over the spikes. Ditto for Hobbs. They are both with good HP on the Frankies. Chicken's going to take him out, collect the XP. He's got his level up. Doors open. Hobbs coming up on the same thing. This is an extremely close race right now.
Good on Hobbs for bringing this back after a pretty costly death.
Yeah, his movement, I think, is just very slightly better, and so you're going to see him kind of do that same inexorable march towards Chicken, and Chicken is just going to try to keep playing his game to, do what he knows he can. Oh, my goodness, that is a costly death for Chicken.
Oh, my, that is huge. You saw in our previous race between Random and Smash with the players elect to take a safety save on this save pad that Supreme is coming up to. It's not a huge difference, but if you're not confident in your ability to get through that death gauntlet, maybe to refill your health and your energy on there and be able to come back a little bit closer in case of death.
As Hobbs just misses the early cycle in the grotto. Yeah, and the unfortunate thing for Chicken, I'm sure he's kicking himself about this, is that once you pick up that energy cell, you have full energy again, and you can make a save almost immediately after that. And the way most players do it is they will jump down from that ledge, and on the ledge below, they will make their safety save. And as he was jumping down from that ledge, that's where he took the death. So that's a really rough one. I'm actually not sure I've even ever seen someone die to that specific spike. Usually people tend to hug the right side of that wall and take damage from the other Bramble instead, but
you can wonder, maybe in practice he was hitting that right spike, so he was trying overly hard to stay away from it and ended up hitting the other spike instead.
Right, a little bit of overcompensation. I mean, that's definitely a risk. Good players will make a mistake and they'll immediately learn from it, and they'll be able to, kind of compensate for that next time. But, players who do that, sometimes if you haven't made kind of all the mistakes, you'll do one form of compensation and that will lead to a different mistake that you didn't foresee.
Well, he has made it at that time, so he has adapted correctly, got through. He's now on the Stompers himself. Hobbs, meanwhile, about to do Grotto Skip, which very beautifully done first try.
Indeed. That trick is always, it kind of sets the tone for your run a little bit. You're about 11 minutes in, you're just getting double jump. You are starting to get to the point where you're going to have to do some complex movement, and that's kind of the first hard, complex movement that you're going to do. And if you pull it off first try, it kind of reassures you, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be able to do the rest of this. And if you don't get it first try, you start to be like, come on, dude, I just want to get to a run.
I completely agree. The attempts are fairly quick, so the actual time difference between first and second attempt is not huge. But I know if I get it second try versus first, the mentality going forward is very different. On the first try, I feel like, okay, I'm nailing all the tricks. I'm going to not have any trouble with the rest of this run. It's time to get some good times. Even second try is like, oh man, the screws are coming a little loose. I need to maybe worry about this a little bit more.
Yeah, and by fifth try, you're tilting off the face of the earth. It's pretty bad. So Hobbs has picked up the water vein. He's making his way back out of the Moon Grotto as Chicken has picked up double jump. He is following in Hobbs' footsteps. probably around a minute behind at this point, which is definitely not insurmountable. We'll have to see what fate might befall Hobbs. I don't think there's been too many runs in this tournament where someone has just gone through without having a major, like, single death.
Maybe Sigma or Hetfield might have put one up yet, but
Yeah,
in general,
of course.
everyone's still you know, having a little bit of tournament jitters. Of course, when you're on Hetfield's level, his tournament matches were over, and he was like, "Ah, that one jump was suboptimal. This was terrible."
Yeah, Hetfield's tournament jitters are, of course, very different from everyone else's tournament jitters. But I mean, even he was telling us, you know, he hasn't been in a lot of race situations before, so you know, we get to see that a lot with this tournament so far. Really, a lot of these players are new to tournaments, and many of them are new to speedrunning as a whole.
Very inspirational that so much of the Ori community has been willing to participate in this. It would be so easy to say, well, I just joined a month ago. I don't really know the route super well. All these other runners have been running for so long, and just not participate. But absolutely not. We had 38 entrants, I believe.
I want to say it was 41, and we had 5 that were
wow.
unfortunately not able to participate. But that's really a crazy number when you think about how many runners there actually are for Ori in total in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, especially considering the scene has really kind of blown up recently for it. I mean, we had always a core active set of runners for this game, but nowhere near the size we're seeing lately. And people are absolutely embracing this game because they love its speedrun. It's so beautiful. Really, really good community. Really much, like, I can't say enough good things about this game.
So we have Hobbs deep into Ginso Tree already. He's having very few problems so far. Everything's going very smoothly. Chicken's also going quite smoothly as well. He's not had any significant hiccups since that death. So that's good for him. He's been able to shake that off and just kind of get back to his game. He's going to be pulling out the rock to access the Thornfelt teleporter, which he'll need, of course, at the end of the game. And Hobbs is doing the puzzle room right now.
I got a little scared for Chicken Supreme there. You do need to pull that rock out far enough to leave yourself a space to dash through and into the corridor. It looked pretty close to me. I was worried he might get stuck and have to go pull the rock again, but fortunately manages to squeeze on through. Mini
boss coming up for JHobz. He's going to go with some mashing. It looks like his shot pacing is pretty good. He's able to mash the button quickly enough to get, looks like a clean 8 shots per cycle. So that's going to help him get a nice quick mini boss here. He also was able to see when the mini boss spawned in the bottom right one time. He missed the second one. Again, you can tell where the mini boss is going to spawn because there's a 1 frame indicator where the mini boss spawns in that spot for 1 frame before you can actually go shoot him. But it's very hard to catch, obviously, in a 60 FPS game.
You know, if you don't know anything about this game, you might be rolling your eyes a bit at how much we say the term 1 frame, but it's actually 1 frame every time we say it. We're not just making that up. Fortunately, there are some tricks to help out with a few of the 1 frame tricks, but there are some pretty tough to execute tricks to be done in this speedrun.
Hobbs is coming up on Bash now. The as we mentioned, one of the kind of demarcating points for the you know, the second half of the run where it gets really crazy. Chicken Supreme is also on his way in Ginso, and he's just making steady progress. He's climbing up. He didn't really have any problems in the first couple rooms. Hobbs flubbing a dash glide there, no problem. He was able to grab the projectile in midair. He's trying to aim that shot. It might be a little high. He doesn't feel confident in it, so he took a second one. Having just a little bit of problems here. These projectiles are basically on cycles, so you just want to get the earliest projectile there that you can get. And he didn't quite get that, but still not too bad. Probably only lost a couple seconds there.
Wasn't confident in his spike damage boost there. It looked to me like he hit the correct area, but he decided for safety's sake to bail out back down and wait for another shot from the... Is that a... That's not a wall broke. He's not actually in the wall. What would we call those guys? I don't even know.
Sit, shoot, shark, I think.
There you go. I think that is the current community term for him, yeah.
So no problem with the key dupe for Hobbs. Again, with that spike wall, he wasn't quite confident that he was going to get the climb up the spike wall, so he opted to jump to the left instead. You know, just we're seeing a little bit of caution from Hobbs, and it's actually interesting to point out that he mentioned to us before the race he's not actually watching his opponent, so he has no idea whether or not Chicken is hot on his tail or not. And he does remember that he had that costly death at the beginning of BRB, but he has no idea that Chicken had like a minute death right after Frankie walk.
And I can absolutely assure you that that plays an effect. In my first race, I took a costly death in the death gauntlet early as well, and I didn't have my opponent's stream open either. And what I didn't know was that he had taken a much more costly mistake that had put him almost completely out of the race at that point. But the entire time, I was just assuming I must be behind. There's no way I'm not behind after that. And whether that spurs Hobbs to play faster or makes him nervous and makes him play worse, we will have to see as this run goes on.
So Hobbs doing his core skip, he got his XP lined up, the level up triggers an explosion, and he blows up both sides of the corruption in the Ginso tree as Chicken Supreme is making his way to key dupe. And again, we're just not seeing any major mistakes from Chicken Supreme except for one. And you gotta wonder as you go along with a run like this where you're in a race situation and you've made a major mistake and that costs you a significant amount of time. But as you go along and your run just continues being solid beyond that point, do you think you start to get a little frustrated? Like, man, if only I hadn't messed up that one thing, this would be such a good run.
I think there's pretty much no way to avoid that feeling, unfortunately. It happened PB attempts. You lose your run to one thing and the rest of the run was solid. It's hard not to get a little salty over that.
Yeah, for sure. So Hobbs making his way through the Ginso tree escape. No problems for him. Chicken lined up his key dupe, and now he's doing his ghost door. So he's doing pretty all right. He did have to set up the key dupe a little bit slowly, but it's not going too poorly in any case. And he's fighting the Ginso mini boss now as Hobbs has just finished the escape, and he will be making his way to Stomp shortly. I got to think both of these runners are on very good pace right now, and if they don't have too many more major mistakes, could be well, let's not speak too soon. We're only halfway through. We still have.
Oh, there's nothing hard left. Don't you worry. I'm sure they're in the clear at this point. Chicken Supreme, I got to say, I'm quite impressed with his run here. Considering that very costly death that took him back to Dash earlier, he is on pretty close pace with Hobbs here. He's only behind by about the Ginso escape, which is around a minute or maybe even a little less. So when you include this core skip, I'd say he's about a minute behind right now.
All right. He had a little bit of a scare there where the XP kind of went in some weird places and he was not quite ready to get it, but fortunately it distributed in such a way that he was able to collect the last bet and level up just in time. Hobbs has picked up Stomp. Now, of course, is when the real game begins, as he's going to start doing all the crazy tricks and a lot of the most difficult sections of the run. You know, when you think about people with PBs in the like the 37 to 39 range, well, like Chicken has, something that characterizes a lot of them is either they kind of have like just one really tough moment in like the early game, or they just have a bunch of tough moments in the late game. And I wonder if, based on Chicken's performance so far, I wonder if we're going to see that the late game is the part that he is, you know, that kind of holds him back from having a better PB right now.
I think that's a very good point to make, and I think the big part of it has to do with what I talked about earlier, how there's two different halves to the game. The second half is built around bash and dash, a lot of flying through the air. The interesting about all those abilities is that they move Ori towards the enemy to go fast, whereas in a lot of other platformers, you know, Mario, for example, when he gets the Fire Flower, he doesn't go towards the enemies when he gets more powerful. He stays farther away and becomes safe. Ori in the late game, she becomes fast, but she's still very dangerous. So for a lot of players, it's out of their element of what they've done in platformers before. So it's a whole new thing to have to practice, and it takes a lot of time to get used to.
Indeed. So perfect Kuro cutscene skip for Hobbs, by which I mean nothing happened, you didn't notice anything, everything's normal. Hopefully we will also see nothing on Chicken's screen when he gets there. But he's making his way to Stomp and not having too much of an issue. Hobbs opts not to go for the 5th energy cell. I'm not too surprised by that. You know, it's the kind of thing where a lot of runners won't want to change up their strats just for a race, especially to something that has a decent likelihood of killing you, actually.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I've kind of gone back and forth on the idea myself. I probably still will be going for 5 energy because safety saves are nice, but there's definitely some appeal to not changing up what you already know how to do.
Hobbs is going for his Spirit Tree cutscene skip. He gets a beautiful dash glide over the Spirit Well, and he uses the stored ability menu to make some saves, and that allows him to bypass that cutscene. which otherwise he would have to learn about the story of this game, and why would we want that?
That sounds really slow, Volition.
Indeed. Chicken coming up on the Drainless trick. He's going to save in midair while stomping, and that's going to cause him to respawn on the ground under in the water and stomp automatically where normally he wouldn't be able to. No problem for him on that one. Again, he's not really having any issues with anything going on here. It's just the one unlucky death. As JHobz continuing along his way, he also is playing pretty well right now. This would be neck and neck if it were not for that death.
Absolutely, and Supreme does not have a safety save down right here that most players tend to take. Well, he's probably going to drop one at Iceless at least, but that jump over the spikes there is a pretty easy place to drop a Bash Glide and accidentally kill yourself, and you'd have to go all the way back to Drainless. And not only do you have to go back there, but because of the way the Drainless trick works, you'd come back and then have to exit and reload again. Oh, and unfortunately he's going to be watching
the shot for Fast Stompless as Chicken misses the skip. JHobz had some problems with his shot. He's not going to be able to get up to the cell, and he got the shot. JHobz is going to lose a very significant amount of time to that, about twice as much as Chicken just lost to the Kuro cutscene skip.
Twice the loss, you might say.
Indeed. That's exactly what we just saw in the previous race, where if you just have a little bit of a movement flub, getting to the ability cell above that spider there, you're going to get the shot, and you will pick up Feather, which, good, congratulations for him, but he's going to be really disappointed. He's going to have to go all the way back up and collect that cell.
So on JHobz's side, he's got to be feeling some pain over this, but on Chicken Supreme's side, this is pretty much Christmas come early. That's one of the biggest time losses JHobz can take at this point, other than some large death without a safety save. In terms of just trick failure, that's pretty much as big as it gets in this run.
Indeed. And Chicken picking up Charge Flame. Of course, we don't know whether Chicken has opted to watch his opponent or not, but either way, he has to feel pretty good about the pace that he's on, regardless of the fact that he missed the Kuro cutscene skip. He's opting for not going for the Dash Glide over the Spirit Well. Looks like he probably hasn't practiced that one, so instead he just jumps onto it, waits until he triggers the cutscene, and then he makes his save. So he's past the Spirit Tree. JHobz is learning Charge Dash in order to do the Sorrow Bash strats, and now he is beginning his Sorrow Bash.
Sorrow Bash is definitely one of the infamous tricks, especially for people starting the run. It's sort of the gatekeeper of being able to do this game, because not going into Sorrow... Yes, very nice. Not going into Sorrow this way is unbelievably slow. You have to go do Misty first and Forlorn to restore the win. We're talking minutes and minutes of time saved by doing this sequence break, and it's pretty execution heavy, so it's definitely one of the things that new runners find themselves the most frustrated with. So we'll see how Chicken Supreme, as the newer runner, is able to handle it once he gets to it himself.
Whether he opts to go for Fast Stompless, which will be coming up pretty soon. As soon as he gets the Air Stomp ability cell, which is always a really cool little thing that you can stomp on this bird in midair and have the area of effect from that break the wall. He does not opt for Fast Stompless. He's going to collect the cell in advance and then go for that. That's actually going to, even though Fast Stompless, of course, saves a bit of time, if you miss it, the way that JHobz missed it, it is actually slower overall than if you just go do the thing normally. Chicken having a little bit of problem ascending with that spider, but now he makes it.
After this damage, and because he's a bit newer, I will be interested to see if possibly he goes and takes the save pad right above Feather here. For new runners, that's one of the more or less costly safety saves to take, so it's not the worst idea in the world for him to go for it.
Indeed. JHobz has made it up to Sunstone. He didn't have any problems with Sorrow Pass. Everything went smoothly. He didn't even need a safety save. Very confident in his ability to get through there without having any mishaps. And Chicken will be collecting Feather shortly. So things continuing pretty much apace. We're not seeing, even though JHobz had the sad cell-less result from Fast Stompless, we're not seeing a major change to the amount of deficit here.
Yeah, and that's just because he had a very, very clean Sorrow Pass overall. First try entry in, and really has had no drastic mistakes on his way up through Sorrow either. Now this is definitely an area that
he said. Chicken took the safety save there on the bell.
Not a bad decision. I agree with it.
He gets his rocket jump up there. Yep, no problem going up there. He is he's feeling pretty good about himself right now, I have to imagine, even though he is in pretty significant deficit. He's just continuing on. I'm going to guess that he's probably not actually watching Hobbs, but he's got to feel pretty good.
Oh no, takes a death on the Sorrow Bash, unfortunately. That setup that they're using is the faster one, but is a little finicky if you don't get the bird in just the right position. There's another method that involves only double bashes, which is slower, but does have the advantage of allowing you to manipulate the bird's position a little more freely. This one looks good. All right, he's in there.
No problem on that attempt. So, a couple deaths on Sorrow Bash. Not super surprising. It is a very difficult trick, and even the top runners are going to be failing it every once in a while. He'll continue on Sorrow Pass as Hobbs is making his way deep into Misty. He has already made quick work of Sorrow, and he's on quite good pace here. A little bit of a flub on that air dash. Sometimes a little bit complicated to control what direction Ori wants to go there, but.
Now he unfortunately, he sure is. He unfortunately wasted an energy on a failed charge dash, and because he didn't take the 5th energy, he's potentially quite low on energy here. He may have to either cut out some safety saves. He still has 1 at least. Yep, he has 1 exactly. He's able to charge dash, which is very, very good. The difference between being at 1 energy and being at 0 energy in Misty is huge because you lose access to that charge dash, but this does mean no safety saves unless he stops for a crystal.
Yeah, and you might wonder, if you're familiar with the game, you know that charge dash costs an energy to use. You might wonder what's the difference between 1 and 0. It just means you can do 1 charge dash. But because you have the ability to cancel your charge dashes, as Chicken gets the impressive rocket jump all the way to the top of... Oh, no! He dashed over the rock flower there that he was intending to kill to collect some XP, so he actually took a death at the top of Sorrow. Fortunately, he had the save halfway, but that is very costly for him.
That is very unfortunate. Sorrow Pass, aptly named because it can ruin many a run, and it's because of things like that. You only get 1 mistake in Sorrow, and you're done.
Indeed. But yeah, to finish the thought about charge dash, if you cancel your charge dash with either a bash or a stomp, along with a couple other different things, but those are the 2 big ones, you are able to refund that energy, and you can just make 1 energy last a very long time. As Hobbs is going for his little downward rocket jump there, and he does get it.
That is really cool. I haven't seen that before. That's nifty.
Yeah, that's pretty much a brand new Hobbs special that he came up with earlier today. I'm not convinced that it saves time, but it definitely looks amazing. Probably at worst, it pulls even with just going left and stomping. So it's not a bad strat, and it looks really cool. And he has energy to spare, so why not? Oh, that bird is trolling the crap out of him. Oh my goodness.
It wants to come along for the rest of the run, it looks like. Now that's interesting. Hobbs busting out a little bit of an old school strat there. There used to be something called the swag bash off of that lantern he used, where you can float through this whole room without ever changing your directional inputs at all. Unfortunately, because of the advent of dash, it's actually a little outdated, but he busted out and shows that just because he's one of the newer runners, he's not unaware of older strats.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason that's fallen out of favor is just that on keyboard, it takes more time to line up, and it's about as fast to just land on the ground below and chain dash. So it doesn't really cost time to do it that way, but it's really only accessible to controller runners, so you'll only see people like Hobbs or me or Lucy do that.
Yeah, and the reason it is easier for controller is you can just hit right on the D-pad and instantly get a correctly angled bash.
So Chicken has made his way out of Sorrow Pass. He has collected Charge Jump and the Sunstone, and not too much slop after that death. That's really been the story so far, though. Both of them have had very solid runs, but Hobbs has had, as far as I've seen, no significant problems the entire run, and Chicken has just had the 2 big costly deaths that are really causing the difference here.
Yeah, both of these runners definitely can walk away from this run quite happy, unless there's something disastrous waiting for them at the end here. Which let's not give them the commentator's curse, because there's plenty left that can happen.
So Chicken Supreme gets the rocket jump that Hobbs had a little trouble with, but he is out of energy now. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, as there will be an energy refill here. He may be wanting to safety save, though, so he'll probably be a little bit nervous until he's able to pick up that extra energy. Hobbs makes the Yoka cycle very barely in BRB. Good for him, as he's able to get the charge dash off of that bird, and now he's going to do a cutscene skip by bashing this projectile over a trigger, and then learning an ability using Save Anywhere. So things are going pretty good for Hobbs. He has a decent chance of actually being on PB pace, but it might be pretty tight, especially with those big deaths, or with the one big death earlier.
And Chicken Supreme made an interesting decision. He went over and grabbed a crystal, and rather than using it and charge dashing with it, he elects for a safety save, and then along the way picks up another crystal. Could have maybe eked out a few more frames or seconds here and there by reversing that order, but he's decided he wants to go for the safety here instead.
You know, I think that decision makes sense to me from the perspective of Chicken. You know, you're at that level where you're not quite 100% certain that you're going to be able to do all of Misty without dying, either the first half or the second half. It definitely doesn't surprise me to see him say, let me just take it a little bit safer. Here he's having a little bit of problem with the platforms here. Hobbs is making his way on the teleporter back to Thornfelt Swamp. So he's on pretty decent pace here, as Chicken is opting not to go for that rocket jump that he's probably never seen before since Hobbs came up with it today.
All right, this approach to Mount Horu from Hobbs has some pretty cool movement in it. There's a lot of charge dashes to enemies. There's some very cool long charge dashes, and because he's going to get an energy refill as soon as he starts the final escape, he can pretty much just spam out all of his energy and not have to worry about holding any for later, which you'll see here shortly.
Yep, just throwing in a bunch of charge dashes to get to that door and drop the Sunstone in. And he's going to make his way into the final escape. And we'll see how Door Warp treats him today. Again, Door Warp, one frame trick where you reload the game. And as you are entering the game, you enter the door on the first frame. And you have to hope that your timing is good enough to get you through there.
Unfortunately, misses it on that one.
Indeed. It's a very finicky trick. There's some cues for it. He gets it second try. Good stuff. But unfortunately, fundamentally, we're talking about a very tight timing. As Roos mentioned earlier, when we say one frame in this game, we really mean it.
And this isn't a 30-frame, one-frame trick either. This game does run at 60 FPS, so you got to put on your big boy pants and be able to time it.
Chicken making quick work of the Misty mini-boss. Hobbs beginning the escape. Looks like he's probably actually not on PB pace, but he is on very good pace. He's going to come in. As long as he doesn't die here, he'll come in very close to his PB, which is quite impressive in a race situation like this.
He has a high 35, and he's looking to maybe get a high 36 or a low.
So he's taking a couple charge dashes here. I know that he recently incorporated stomp cancels into his repertoire, so I think he might have gone for a couple of those. He is going for fish strats. Why not? When you when you have a run like this, he probably has a pretty good feeling about whether he's going to win the race or not. So he opts for fish strats and he pulls it off.
Gets some swag at the end. Very nice. Good run from Hobbs. That was, other than one very early death, extremely clean run.
And yeah, that's definitely gonna. Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it's gonna be around like 20 seconds off of his PB. So very nice on his part.
Absolutely. He should be very proud walking away from this one. We can see Chicken Supreme now entering the second to last area here that Hobbs made quick work of. He got a very cool cycle here. Let's see if Chicken Supreme can make it as well. He's going for it, and he's through. Very nice.
Always feels good when you're able to get that laser cycle and not die to it. So Chicken...
It is very impressive. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to talk over you there. It's very impressive how much the level of play of this game has improved so much, because not that long ago, that cycle they're making called the Yoka cycle was considered a bit of a swag strat and something you didn't always go for. But the movement has been optimized so much and people have gotten so much better that it's almost just the normal strat now to try and make that cycle.
Yeah, now that we understand exactly when that laser spawns and how it works, it's definitely a lot easier. Chicken taking a quick hit from that set of spikes there, but he's able to make it through. He dash glides over the slow zone on the way out. It was interesting that he opted not to try for the dash glide on the way in. Perhaps he wasn't confident in pulling off the dash glide while having the save anywhere menu up. I do know that's something that some runners are not always aware of, is that normally the spacebar, which is your jump key, is also bound to proceed. So if you accidentally have the wrong thing moused over and you press the spacebar, you'll not only jump, but you'll also learn an ability, which will totally screw up your save anywhere glitch. And Chicken might not be aware that you can actually unbind the proceed function from space if you want to get a little safety there.
Absolutely. Keybinds can be extremely useful in this game. I know you yourself for your controller, I have about 3 or 4 I use on my keyboard. Definitely makes a lot of a play quite a bit easier than it would be trying to do everything manually.
Yeah, it's actually worth mentioning, like, in this game, there's a keybind file that allows you to remap all the functions in the game, and it's actually very flexible. This is provided by Moon Studios for us. It's very flexible. You can bind one key to perform multiple actions, and it's supported by that file, and you can also bind many keys for the same function. So a lot of runners will have things like a charge dash bind, which will combine the charge jump and dash inputs, and some runners will even have a rocket jump bind, which combines the charge dash inputs with a jump input. And so you can just press that one key, and then you can do a rocket jump instantly.
I find it very interesting about this game that at first glance you could think, oh, well, you're just making these binds to take away the skill, but it far from taking away the skill actually increases it, because the movement in this game is so unbelievably intensive that giving yourself these binds just unlocks this whole new world of movement that without the binds would be extremely difficult to even achieve, and actually increases the skill ceiling rather than decreases it.
Yeah, it just completely changes the thing that you're trying to optimize. Instead of trying to figure out, how do I even hit all these 3 keys, and then hit this other key, and then do this other thing, you're instead trying to figure out, okay, what conceptually am I trying to pull off? Charge dash, stomp jump, charge dash again. And then you can just do that. As Chicken makes his way into the final escape, he had a second try door warp, not too bad. He is looking to be on around a 40, like a low 40 pace, which is definitely not at all bad. So he's going to be pretty happy, I think, with his performance. JHobz has taken the victory with a 36-28, of course, and he's watching the final cutscenes. Chicken opts not to go for fish strats, not too surprising there. He goes with the charge dashes, charge jumps up the left side. He does make it to the end. He's looking at around a 40-40. So congratulations to him on a pretty solid race. Only the 2 really costly deaths, and that was about it as far as major mistakes for him.
Yeah, without the one death that sent him back to dash, he'd be looking a lot closer to his PB right now. Maybe 39-40 instead of 40-40. And suddenly we're talking about being within striking distance of your PB.
Indeed. As I just noticed that I forgot to click the light burst button for Chicken Supreme. He did collect all the skills. I verified.
It's very easy to forget light burst. We don't even use it in the run, so it's not particularly relevant.
So good race from both of these two. JHobz obviously will be very pleased to come in with basically 30 seconds off of his PB. Chicken Supreme got to be happy with his second race performance being a nice 40xx time, which is very solid, and within just a couple minutes of his PB. Really, anything within that, like, those few minutes of your PB is going to be a very solid run for anyone at any level, really.
Completely agreed. Pretty much the only person who's consistently putting up times within a minute or less is, of course, Hetfield, the human task.
I mean, even Hetfield's times so far have been, as Chicken Supreme crossed the finish line, it's 40-38. 40-38. There's another digit there. So congratulations to him on finishing up. Pretty good race. I think we basically saw what we expected to see here, and at the same time, we kind of were impressed a little bit, right?
I completely agree. I think the result was not unexpected, but the level of performance put on both runners is very exciting to see. This whole tournament has just been the story of runners continually surprising us with how much they're willing to step up to the plate and show us good runs.
Yeah, and I think that's going to continue happening as just, the group stage takes place over the course of around a month. And during that time, there's a lot of opportunity for individual runners to just grind their times down. We're already seeing in the 34 range of PBs, we're already seeing multiple improvements just this past weekend. Of course, Chicken has already a 38, which I believe is better than what he's got on the speedrun.com leaderboard. So apparently there's an as yet unapproved PB on there that we have to go look at. And, I saw this morning Terra got a PB, as well as Epic Cat, who I believe Are you racing next? Is that what we've got coming
Yes, I'm racing Epiccat, and believe it or not, the last 2 runs that both of us did, it was a race, and we both PB'd in it. Simultaneous PBs in our race right before our race coming up. So that's going to be an exciting one coming up, I think.
Indeed. Well, let's take a quick look back at the standings for the Sorrow Pass group, which we were just watching. So far, only the 2 matches have taken place between... there was Chicken's match against QQ Stefu, and he has also done his match against JHobz. So the current standings in that group, Stefu currently with the lead at 1-0. JHobz, his average time is only 1:10 behind now with that 36:28. So that's pretty solid. JHobz actually within striking distance in that group. We'll see how his match goes with Stefu at some point. But JHobz will be at 1-0 as well, and Chicken is moving down to 0-2. He's got one more race to go against the 3rd seed in that group, Snoop. So we'll see how that... actually, I misspoke. Chicken's the 3 seed in that group. Snoop is the 4th seed. And we'll see how that goes when that takes place.
I'll definitely be excited to see what kind of times he can put up. So it looks like joining you on commentary for the next run is going to be extremely talented runner Sigmazen. He looks like he's in the on deck, and if he is ready, I'm going to go ahead and off to get ready for my race coming up, which you guys will be commentating next, I believe.
We will, and yes, you certainly should. Go get ready for your race, and good luck, have fun, friend.
Thank you.
All right, as we are waiting for the next race to get going, I am joined by Sigma. Sigma, how are you doing, man?
Yo, well, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing quite all right. Day full of Ori races. Couldn't ask for much more.
It's always a good thing. So what do you think about JHobz's choice not to do that damage boost in Misty that you were giving him the heck about beforehand?
I had a feeling that in a race situation he would at least use some good judgment and opt not to go for an extremely risky 3 damage boost that leaves you with 1 for the entire remainder of Misty. And of course he substantiated that belief.
Yeah, I think he said to me that he was only at 2 health, and I think he was trying to mouse over his health. No, wait. How could he mouse over his health? He doesn't even use exploit mouse. He said he was trying to highlight his health to you so that you would catch on that he was only not doing it because he was damaged. I still think there was potential to safety save right before it, just to do it and go back down to 1 health and 1 energy.
Oh my goodness, please.
I don't know if he disappointed me there, or maybe he gained some of my faith in humanity.
I am just going to put that out of my mind. We're going to move on to the next race.
Alrighty.
So we actually have a very, very entertaining matchup coming up here between Roos and Epiccat. Sigma, why don't you give me some of your thoughts on these 2 runners?
Well, this is going to be one of the more close and intense races of the tournament, for sure. Actually, part of the reason I signed up to commentate it was because I was thinking this is just going to be an incredible race. So, at the start of the tournament, Roos was the 9th seed overall, and thus the leader of the 9th group, and Epicat's 10th. So, they have the closest PBs among people with, like, top PBs, so to say. And since the tournament has started, they've both been, especially Epiccat, but they've both been doing a fair amount of runs. Roos more recently, Epiccat kind of like through the beginning of the tournament and leading up to it, and as a result, Epicat's PB is now just a bit over 30 seconds ahead of Roos's. And I think actually that might have changed, because I think
that is
PB
yeah
today.
he PB'd today. He has a 34-30 something now.
Okay.
For Epiccat, so he's actually 50-ish seconds ahead at this point, which is a little bit crazy. That only happened today, but I mean, I think both of these runners have the capability to have, that kind of a breakout run, right?
Yeah, and the thing about it too is I said, Roos wasn't as active leading up to the tournament, but his PB on the leaderboards is from 2 months back, but he also PB'd today by just a couple seconds, so Epicat's still leading a fair bit in that department, but they're basically within a minute of each other, and a minute-long swing in Ori is definitely something that you can see happen a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the thing to note about that PB of Roos's particularly is that he was behind basically the entire run on every segment, and he managed to clutch out at the very end. He managed to clutch out the time saves he needed to be able to get that PB, and that's exactly the kind of thing that will, the kind of fortitude that will pay off in a tournament situation like this, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So
Now
looking at this match,